For those of you that love talking about animals, from Sci News, three new raptor dinosaurs discovered in Utah. U.S. paleontologists have uncovered fossils of three new raptor dinosaurs that roamed what is now eastern Utah about 130 million years ago. And now, from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. And let's dive right back into the prehistoric news of the day.
How many types of raptors are there?
There's somewhere between 30 to 40 different species at least. That's probably not even including different species of Microraptorans, which are members of the Dromaeosaur family. But this is not including the Megaraptors. This is a completely different branch of theropod dinosaur. Though there are certain species of raptors that did not score the sickle claw, so the extended or elongated claws. Technically, they're thumb claw.
Oh, wait a minute. Uh, I'm confused. But there's different types of raptors, but they're not all raptors.
Yes.
They
The
just named them that.
in some instances, well, yes, but they have similar morphologies, especially when looking at their forelimbs. But aside from that, they're very distinct, and the Megaraptors became much larger. So let's see. Raptors, or Dromaeosauridae, are a diverse family of predatory dinosaurs with a plethora of species that have been discovered within the last 2 decades and a few that were known previously. I forgot to take a look at the animal. So here we have Yurgovkia dolengai. Okay, I'm not familiar with this species of raptor. This is also a bit of an older article. So let's take a look. He does seem to have a bit more of a Deinonychus sort of look, which is a species of raptor from the early Cretaceous period, but didn't arrive until much later in time. This is around the same time that Utah raptor inhabited Utah. So I'm wondering if he was a competitor, but I'm guessing he's much smaller, considering Utah raptor is the largest raptor to have evolved. They are remarkable for the presence of an enlarged, recurved claw on the second toe that may have functioned as a predatory weapon, a weapon for finding its place in the pack's pecking order, a climbing aid, a digging tool. Whoa, hold on. First, I believe it's the first toe. I think the second toe would be the middle toe, unless it's including the toe further up the ankle that would have primarily been useless. It's a bit of a question as to what that would have been used for.
Is that like the chicken thing?
It's a bit more distinct though. Chickens could use that as a weapon, but the raptors, other species theropod dinosaurs, for the most part, not necessarily. But it mentioned the um, climbing. Actually, it's mentioning a variety of theories that are still under much debate, especially the climbing aid. It's been presumed for species of dinosaurs like Velociraptor, maybe Sornithoides or Sornitholestes, that they could have used. They might have had the ability to climb due to partially these claws, as well as possibly digging. Yeah, that's another one. The problem is, when it comes to digging specifically, it's the way they're able to move their forelimbs. And I think, at least with their hind limbs, it's certainly possible, especially when digging a nest. But I wouldn't say so their forelimbs. Now, it did mention another thing, a weapon for finding its place in the pack's pecking order. That's a first. I have not heard of that. Um, I don't know how that would work, though. Or a combination of functions. Well, that's not specific. Several species from China are covered in bird like feathers and close related to birds. Well, these are the smaller species. These are the family of Microraptorans that have been preserved. I believe certain species of Oviraptorosaurans have been discovered with this too. But that is a different branch of theropod dinosaurs, not necessarily dromaeosaurs. Closely related, though. Thus, dromaeosaurs are important in studies of the origin of avian flight. We have not found different species of dromaeosaur with preserved, well, the larger species of dromaeosaur, so Velociraptor, Deinonychus, Utahraptor with preserved feathers. But looking at how closely related they are to modern birds, as well as these other branches of dromaeosaurs, it's very possible they would have been covered in feathers. Now, this is specifically Deinonychus antorhippus, which has been discovered over in Wyoming, different parts of Montana, as well as let's see who else. I believe Utah they have been discovered in as well. Oh, Colorado too. So this was a medium-sized species of raptor. So Deinonychus could reach about 10 to 11 feet in length, or a little over 3 meters, and weigh on average somewhere around 160 pounds. However, this creature, there have been much larger recent estimates as to how large Deinonychus could weigh, possibly weighing up to 220 pounds. So Utah Raptor is, let's say, if you were to bump into one or possibly a pack, it's also a big question as to whether or not animals like Deinonychus and Utah Raptor would have hunted in packs. Oh, I forgot to mention real quick. Deinonychus lived in Colorado around 110 million years ago. So probably feeding on smaller species of ornithopod dinosaur at the time related to iguanodon or different species of iguanodontids, as well as possibly young, very young species of sauropods, maybe occasionally going after smaller amphibians, reptiles, maybe even species of mammals at the time. But um, Utah Raptor, you had a much more likelihood of it deciding, well, you're a bit small. I'm going to go for something much more substantial. Not that larger predators that go after larger game will occasionally not hunt smaller individuals. However, Deinonychus, due to it being around the size, you would probably just be the perfect meal, especially if it didn't hunt in a pack.
except for a mouthful of feathers.
Um, well, where do the feathers come from? It's talking about people.
Oh,
I was talking about Deinonychus eating people.
okay.
So yeah, this animal would have been extreme problem because just I remember way back I would think, well, you could fight this thing off. Yeah. Um, not really. Anyway, body sizes in the family have a large range from about the size of a mockingbird, four-winged microraptor, a mockingbird. Okay, I was saying hummingbird. I'm like, no. Despite how small microraptor is, it could definitely smush a hummingbird. But a mockingbird, that's pretty realistic. Except it couldn't fly like a mockingbird, just more of glide from tree to tree. Mockingbirds are very common in Texas. Anyway, to the largest size of a bear, Utah Raptor. Well, that's a big bear. I mean, we're talking about a larger Kodiak brown bear or a bit of a smaller male polar bear. So 11 to 1,200 pounds at least. Let's see. New study published today in the journal Plus One describes three newly found dromaeosaurs from the lower Cretaceous of Utah and sheds light on the evolution of the dromaeosaur tail. One of the species was named Yurgovukii duolingi in honor of Helmut Duoling in recognition of his more than 50 years of geological research and geological mapping of Utah for the Utah Geological Survey. So, by the way, these maps are they come very much in handy when it comes to finding the different sediments in, let's say, Utah itself. The same thing goes for when you're looking at different ecosystems within a certain state or country. These maps are very helpful. The genus name is derived from the Ute word Yurgovuk, meaning coyote. Oh, well, I mean that's nice. I was just Um, I'm guessing this is a much smaller species of dromaeosaur. I mean, that's fine. I'm glad the coyote has some positive recognition. A predator of similar size. You are the size of a coyote. Never mind. To Y. dolengai that currently inhabits the same region. Hate you both. A partial vertebral column and a part of the pelvis of Y. dolengai was found in 2005 by UGS paleontologist Don de Blue in Doling's Bowl bone bed. Now, I love coyotes. I love this guy too. But it's interesting. An extensive and important dinosaur site that was first discovered as a result of Doling providing taped colored taped together color photocopies of his then unpublished geological maps of the Arcus National Park region, so it's like southern Utah Canyonlands, to an unknown young paleontologist named Jim Kirkland, 1990. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Jim Kirkland is at least in his late 60s. Jim Kirkland discovered Utah Raptor, as well as over in Utah. He's done a lot of research for early Cretaceous ecosystems. So, especially around the 130 million year mark, even to like when Deinonychus evolved. But it's anyway. I've known the guy since I was like 6. The second species is represented by a part of the pelvis and a possibly associated arm bone. The third species, found a few miles to the west at Andrews site, consists of a tail skeleton that is unique among known Cedar Mountain dromaeosaurids. This tail is distinctive in the long extensions of bone off of each vertebrae, stiffing the tail as a balancing organ. It is well known for different species of dromaeosaurids, especially the ground dwelling ones, as I Microraptorans tend to be seen as like tree dwelling dromaeosaurs. So it's kind of like where you have the ground dwelling kangaroos and the tree dwelling kangaroos, except the Microraptorans, like the dromaeosaurs, very likely could have moved their limbs individually, whereas ground dwelling kangaroos have to move both at once. Tree kangaroos can move them independently. Um, okay, so what's hit me, because I was expecting like 3 new genre or genus names to pop up. So genus would be like, so let's say you're looking at Deinonychus. You have Deinonychus, which is the genus name, and Antorhippus is the specific species. So here we had the specific species, the Eugolevia, and then genus, and then 3 species of Eugolevia. Now, looking at some of the sauropods that existed a bit later after the raptor that they discovered. This is Sauroposeidon. Now, this model right here has a bit of too much of a brachiosaur sort of a look. However, Sauroposeidon, due to it being a bit distinct, quite distinct from the brachiosaurs, does tend to be reconstructed looking somewhat like one.
What's with his nails?
Oh, okay, yeah, that is off. It should just simply be a thumb claw, and the hind feet, they should have 3 curved,
I was only
3 long
referencing
curved
that
claws.
looks like he needs a trimming.
Oh, he also needs a lot more muscle added to his neck, bit of a more elongated tail, possibly just also much more muscular legs. It's too skinny of a frame. These are slightly better. So Sword Poseidon has also been found in different parts of Wyoming as well as Montana, and it also dates to around the same time Deinonychus existed, about 110 million years ago. It is very possible that Deinonychus might have hunted young Sauroposeidon, but it probably would stick to, as long as the adults weren't around. Um, but it would have most likely stick to just smaller species of non-sauropod dinosaurs. The animal that the Sauroposeidon is fighting here, this seems to be a relative of Concavenator, so which is a member of the Metriacanthosaurid lineage of theropod dinosaurs, which inhabited the early Cretaceous period. So, didn't mention the size. So Sauroposeidon, which is a member of the Stephospondyle lineage of sauropod dinosaurs, they first evolved somewhere around 155 million years ago during the late Jurassic period, and they would reach the end of the Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago, with animals such as Alamosaurus.
What was his size though?
Oh, okay. I Okay. So looking at Sword Poseidon, this animal could reach somewhere around 75 feet in length and probably weigh somewhere around 60 tons. So it was likely heavier, much heavier than Brachiosaurus. Before more recent analysis was done on the bone structure of animals such as Brachiosaurus, it used to be assumed Brachiosaurus could reach over 80 tons or more, but now it's somewhere between 30 to 50, which is still not a small animal. This is a smaller species of iguanodontid that existed during the early Cretaceous, around 130 million years ago. So this is Hippodraco, which was discovered, I believe, before the 1960s. Um, But when it came to the skull of this animal, it was not found until somewhere around 2016. So now we have an intact skull of Hippodraco. And despite its name, hippo, it is not. It very likely was not aquatic. Now, dinosaurs in general had the ability to swim. Now, hippos technically don't. They just tend to linger amongst the river, the lake bottom, and then just skyrocket towards like 8 feet above them, some air. Anyway, Hippo Draco was a medium-sized species of iguanodontid. It could reach somewhere around 20 feet in length or around 6 meters and probably weighs somewhere around 1,100 pounds. So about the size of Utah Raptors. So this could be a snack for the giant dromaeosaur. And here is a very this individual is on steroids or something. But iguanodon was existing at around this time over in England. So think
You sure he
about
wasn't eating at McDonald's?
um, I don't know because, well, yeah, he's not very defined. So he had way too many of those oatmeal Happy Meals. Anyway, and he was probably sticking to the large fries. Let's go back to the article. Let's see. Probably stopped at Waterbury for onion rings. Although not providing enough information to permit the species to be properly defined, the fossil proves that there are more advanced dromaeosaurs like Velociraptor and Deinonychus living in the same habitats as the giant, but more primitive Utahraptor. Okay, hold on. This is Velociraptor and Deinonychus, Utahraptor. They lived in completely different times and locations. Now, I don't know of Deinonychus being found in Utah, but it's very possible it did live in Utah. However, it lived 110 million years ago. Utahraptor was around 100 and somewhere between 130 to 135 million years ago in Utah. And Velociraptor lived in Mongolia around 71 million years ago. So they also weren't that closely related to each other when it came to Velociraptor and Deinonychus to Utahraptor. Utahraptor is a completely different subfamily of dromaeosaurs. Velociraptor and Deinonychus, they were distantly related, but they still both, like, despite Deinonychus' skull shape, belong to Velociraptorni, which is interesting. But Deinonychus is way off in that subfamily. Let's see. Velociraptor also was somewhere around 6 feet in length and barely weighed more than 25 pounds. Still a formidable adversary. So close to the size of the new species that they discovered. So let me know in the comments what your favorite species of raptor is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is better than all animals all the time.